Welcome. This is Ralph Bivins with the Ralph Bivins Project. We're here today to talk about a real huge growth sector that's sweeping the nation. It's pretty amazing what's going on right now. There's a lot of demand and not much supply. Prices are going up, and it's pretty phenomenal. And we're fortunate today to have Sam Kamkar of Bold Fox Development. He's involved in land development, building master plan communities, and he's been with Toll Brothers, and he leads this group based in Texas, Bold Fox Development. And Bold Fox just made a pretty big acquisition, 450 acres up northwest side of Houston on 290 near FM 362, and Wolf has started a new project there, the Beacon Hill.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really anyway. Alex, tell us a bit about the big man acquisition you just completed.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on, and for all the viewers out there, appreciate your time. I hope you guys are getting through the COVID period. Hopefully, it's recessing into the background.
I think so.
Yeah, I hope so. No, we through a lot of 2020, we're working on a 470-acre acquisition, as you said, out there in Waller County. We literally have the 362 FM. That is our eastern border. If folks are going out to College Station, maybe you're an A&M person, you go out, see our Aggies play. We're essentially out there on 290, and you'll see the Buc-ee's. It's a big, gigantic one. It's got 100 pumps. And that's at the corner of 290 and FM 362, and we're about a mile north of that if you take a right coming out of the Buc-ee's. And so we were very fortunate. We got to work with the Wood family. We started this acquisition, believe it or not, in November of 19. And then all of a sudden, you remember, we didn't know what was happening in February and March. We didn't know if the world was going to end or the economy was going to end. And so at that point, we called the family. We said, hey, guys, we want to do the deal. We're very excited, but we don't know that we're going to have an economy next week. So we probably want to push the contract. And so they were very, very gracious, worked with us. And then finally, we were able to close that literally mid-April of this year in 21. And we're very excited. We're going to be working with some great groups. We're going to be working with TBG, which does a lot of master plan communities. Landscape architecture here in the region. They're all over in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. We'll be working with EHRA Engineering, who will be our master engineer, and then we'll be working with Allen Boone Humphreys Robinson on our special districts. And we've got great builder partners. We're going to be working with Jesmar Homes. They're a top 10 builder here in the city, as well as History Maker Homes, who are coming in from Dallas. They're a 1,000-unit-a-year builder in Dallas, and they're starting to make their footprint here in Houston. And then we'll be working with Empire Communities here in the region, who are a very reputable builder. So very, very exciting, a lot to work on. But getting these deals through the COVID time has been a slog, but we've got great partners to work with and a great family that sold us the land, and we're really thankful for that. So
what about what price points do you anticipate you'll be hitting with the homes there?
Sure, absolutely. We think we're going to be somewhere starting between 240 to 250, and I think initially we're probably going to be 350 to 375. Our hope is this is probably an 8 to 10 year project, Ralph, and our hope is that it'll be somewhere in the 400 to 500 range near the end of that project in terms of the top number. So
a lot of homes, over 1,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're right now in the 1,200 range, and we're excited. If you go out there on that 290 corridor, you'll see a lot of interesting stuff. You've got the Daikin facility, which is one of the largest manufacturing facilities in the country, and those folks, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but they're having to find folks from Houston using Metro to try to connect them to jobs. They don't have enough employees that live in close proximity. And what we're trying to do is provide workforce housing, as well as the housing for the mid-level managers and the executives all the way there. So if you're just starting out in your career or you're looking towards retirement, we want to be able to have something for you. And that was kind of our goal with that community.
Daikin is so huge. I think it's 4.2 million square feet.
Oh, yeah.
If you're into commercial construction, You know what a tilt wall is, where you pour the concrete walls on the ground and then them up.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the biggest tilt wall building single structure in the world. It's
Yeah.
huge, and there's
We,
5,000 something people working there. So it was quite an economic development chunk to be
absolutely.
added up
I,
there.
I,
So huge.
I think the Daikin facility, we took a tour pre-COVID with the managing VP out there, and you don't understand what 85 or 86 football fields under roof are, and then you see it, and your eyes just get big because you can't believe it. But I mean, they've just got an amazing facility. There's a lot of people who are going to work there. I think it's going to be a great driver for the 290 corridor. And I really hope that it helps the moms and dads. I think a lot of people are going to have great employment there, and it's my job as a developer to help create the American dream and give those people a chance to work close to their work. And that's what I think we will do with this community.
One thing I noticed in your press release about this project in Waller on two, you mentioned something having an agrarian concept
That's right.
with farmers. Tell us a little bit about how that's going to play out.
Sure. I think what's happening is the COVID time has really changed. I think our life outlook. I think we started seeing it in my neighborhood, people walking more and more just to get out because it's been in their house for 10, 11, 12 hours at a time. Maybe you have kids, maybe you're homeschooling your kids, and you just need to get them to get outside. And for us, we don't want to completely destroy what is there. What we really want to do is enhance that. In a lot of areas around Waller, you start seeing a very agrarian feel, a very rural feel. I hate to be so corny, but almost something restorative. It feels pastoral in a positive way. And we don't want to make it the hustle and bustle of Houston. If you want to be in Houston, there's ample places to live in Houston. But if you come out to our project in our community, you're trying to get away a little bit. You want a little more space. You want to be able to breathe great air. You want to be able to see the sunset. You want to be able to feel something different. And for us, we're really working to capture that feel and keep it, if not enhance it. And we've got
You have cows walking around or something.
we're going to be a low methane community. No cows, low methane. We don't think we want to have cows, but we do want to be in touch with the feel. And so we want to do what you'll see in some of these rural towns, Ralph, where there's a town square and it's very defined. And so we're going to be working on that as one of our main amenities, is being able to have a defined town square where you're parking in front of the retail, like you may have seen in a city from the 1800s, early 1900s, 1940s, 1950s. And what you see in a lot of these newer communities is they want to put you in a village and fragment you as much as possible. What we really want to do is we want to center some of the activity in one main place. And then if you want to be able to go pick up your kids, we're hoping for an on-site school. Waller ISD is doing a tremendous job. They're growing really, really fast. We would love to have our town square next to the on-site school so you can walk to go maybe pick up your sandwich, go pick up your kids, and then be able to walk. And so we've got the community is going to, in theory, wrap around this town square. And so people can do a lot more walking like we're doing now.
That's so cool. I'm thinking about this last night, I guess, walking around, and I've been thinking about it for a while. The way traffic is handled around schools, and you see that there'll be security guards setting out cones, and lines of cars backing into the street with a couple hundred cars backing into the street, messing up traffic.
That's
And
right.
has there been any new thought anywhere and I haven't seen it, about ingress and egress to schools? Why is there always they don't allow, they're still building them like they were back in the 50s, where 90% of the kids walk to school and the other 10 rode their bikes, or something like that. They just don't allow school designed from civil engineering and roads, just doesn't allow for proper amount of drive up and and stuff, picking up their kids at when the bell rings at 3. I haven't. Somebody needs to improve that, because it shouldn't be. They shouldn't be blocking public streets. There shouldn't be
100%.
cars, impeding traffic trying to get to the school. They should allow for that in the beginning. They know what it's going to be like, but they just do it. So that's that out to all the developers that are there.
Sure.
You're putting in new schools. That's it. You're on the cutting edge. Maybe I'll come up there and when you get this
Sure.
see if you did it right.
Absolutely. No, we've got in our city, I reside in Pearland. I'm a city councilman for Pearland. And on some of these major thoroughfares, you'll have a street that you've got a lot of traffic, and you'll have a school literally abutting that street, and you'll see the people stacking up a mile and a half back. And you literally are thinking about that at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And for us, what we wanted to do is to be a little more pastoral, to let it be like it maybe used to be, and where you can walk to the school and you can walk out, and you're not trying to duck and dodge and play Frogger on the street. We want it to be the focus around the pedestrian use, because a lot of the kids are going to be living around there, are going to be able to commute to there via walking or with, like you said, their bike. And that's kind of what we're trying to think about.
That's right. In the intro, I did mention that Alex was elected to the Pearland City Council in December. And
yes, sir.
For all our friends out there that like to develop apartments and can't get into the Pearland market, there's the.
We've already had a few come.
That's your cell number right now, but we don't want to diverge too. But yeah, Pearland, I hear that from multifamily developers, and they're saying, hey, I really would like to build some more units in Pearland, and the city is trying to control that growth. And
yeah, we want to be collaborative. I think we have a vision, not dissimilar for what you might see in Fort Bend County or Katy, and we want to be working together on that vision. I think everybody has their favorite plan they like to do, and we may want to tweak here and there, but I think any good development, whether it's multifamily, single family, even retail, you have to try to fit into the cohesive vision of whatever they're building. Some cities are more defined in what that is. I know in Waller, we're having robust discussions, and they really like what we're bringing on trying to preserve some of the pastoral feel in a positive light, and they like the town square concept. And I think it's because we're not necessarily having thought about that in the last 50, 40, 30, 20 years. How do we make it a more community-oriented feel? So,
yeah, of course, South Lake up at DFW did a pretty good job at and they're in Pearland. I think, the town center does have multifamily and office above the street level.
That's right.
Which is pretty cool. But before we leave Pearland for 10 seconds, I just want to say what's happened in North, the Kirby Drive area, got some of those life sciences groups that they're really.
Ingress, Hauser, Lonza, absolutely.
Lonza's got signs up. Hey, we're trying to help wanted. We need people to help. I don't know what they're building, but they're putting help on signs. I think what you've done that for the city's been very good. I want to switch
But before we go, I need to thank the Pearland Economic Development Corporation. Has done a phenomenal job making that happen. Lonza has actually been working on some of these COVID vaccines, and so there was a gigantic opportunity, and I'm really glad to see the city go and do that. And they're already having benefits that are positive and creative to our region and to the country and the world with them working on some of the COVID vaccines. So it is really great. I encourage people to go to the Lower Kirby District. If you haven't gone, you'll be surprised at what you see. You'll be impressed. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work to promote that area. So I think it's a very positive thing.
And maybe someday that Kirby Drive will connect with the Kirby Drive in Houston sometime before the end of your lifetime, Alex.
I hope. That's one of the few areas. I'm not a gigantic mass transit guy, but that's one of the areas where if we could connect to Rice and the medical center, and we can go down Kirby Drive, that's one of the very few areas in this region where that makes overwhelming amount of sense. So,
of course, you could always hook up right by Kirby Drive and there's a rail that dead ends right there, and then there's a bunch of empty prairie between South Houston and Beltway, right, in the north part of Pearland. But why couldn't you put the rail through there?
100%.
That's somebody with some future planning, like you.
Sure.
May want to look at it. I wanted to hold you accountable now.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. We're talking about your press release you put out with your first project, I think, Venetian Pines
Yes, sir.
on road. Okay, this and you're this is your, I believe is your first solo project not too long ago, and but the quote there attributed to you is quote. Yesterday's master plan communities were typically centered on golf courses, said Alex Kamkar, managing shareholder of Bullfox Development. Quote, playgrounds with big yellow slides and traditional playground equipment were typical amenities. We're taking a look at what lifestyle looks like right now.
That's right.
Talk more about your vision for what the community should look like. And I think we also mentioned in that at that time, golf courses are not cool. So tell me what is cool? What are you doing?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think the first is that the development, depending on if it was a builder or a traditional third party developer like I would do, they're looking at it as how can I address the neighborhood and its needs and wants, and a lot of times it's what does mom want, what do the kids want, so they have a place to play. Excuse me. And so what they would go do is they go drop in maybe a $80,000-$100,000 slide, maybe a little play area, and they would call that the amenity, and they'd walk away from the deal. And what ends up happening is 3 years later, it's all bleached out. The sun has eaten it up. The materials probably might be rusty here and there, and we have to reimagine what that looks like and feels like. I think that there was a point previous talking about my mentor, Jim Jenkins, where you had a community and the golf course was the center amenity. And now what do you see? Some of these golf courses in the Champions area, some of these golf courses in around Katy, where now they're becoming detention ponds because you don't have enough users using it. They might be low spots, and they're repurposed. And as somebody who is trying to think through, when you do development, you're thinking really on the 50 or 100-year time scale of how you're doing things. What is going to hold its value? And what I would tell you is outside green space is never going away in that respect. It's always going to be something that we want to connect to nature. Our brains are wired from 40,000 years ago to want to go put their feet in the grass and to go see something green, maybe to see some water. And we need to get that. I think in the COVID times, I think a lot of us reconnected with outside, whether we drove to Memorial to go out there and walk around that trail, or maybe we went to the Buffalo Bayou Park, or Brazos Bend Park, or if you went to your community had a fountain and you could go walk around it. And so for me, with Venetian Pines, our amenity is going to be a trail system around the community, and then have our amenity pond. And for us, we're not trying to make the built environment change drastically. What we're trying to do is enhance the natural environment where we can. I don't know how you guys feel. As I've gotten older, I think I have more appreciation for trees and butterflies and the natural environment, because I have to go drive to an office to go talk with folks and go do my job. When I come home, I want to decouple. I don't want to go to an office building. And I think that's what we're trying to do when we're reconnecting. That's kind of been my focus as we're looking at amenities, Ralph, is how do we reconnect?
And green spaces are good. Trees are good. And I think you hit on something when you mentioned the golf. I've talked to, I guess ULI conference about focus on housing about a year ago. They were talking about repurposing of golf courses because they've usually they're kind of a little bit infill. They've been built around 20, 30 years ago, and now they're not as much popularity with that sport. But the guys are getting permission from the communities to buy that golf course and build on it and make it either you can make it multi-family type or townhomes or whatever. But I think there's a whole cottage industry waiting to happen for repurposed golf course.
Oh, absolutely. And if you go look, Ralph, at some of the folks who go out there and they want to be on the golf course, there's a whole group of folks that this is their forever home, or their I made it home, and they want to be on the golf course. And I think that there's something to that. But what I would tell you, Ralph, is what happens if maybe you're 50, 60 years old, your home in a lot of places, in a lot of instances, is your biggest asset, and now they have all this equity in their home, and maybe that home's 4,000 square feet and they don't need 4,000 square feet, and so they really need 1,800 or 2,200, and they want to unlock and capture some of that equity that they have in this big home. Maybe the grandkids are not coming by as every weekend like they used to, and so all of a sudden you have this gigantic glut of these golf course homes that maybe the folks want to downsize or move to a community that's a 55 and up community or something like that. And how do you retool these golf courses now, where maybe the folks who wanted to play golf every year or every day, all of a sudden they're playing once a quarter, you know what I mean? And how do you look at that asset differently? And I think for the folks that want to live there, that's great. For the folks who don't, they're not going to go use it. And now we've got these great tools. And so when we're thinking about developments on this 470 acres, the golf course is number 9 on my list of items to go think about. The number 1 is trails. The number 2 is lakes. The number 3 is some of these amenities that are built amenities. And how are kids interacting with that? And those are the things that I'm prioritizing on my list a little bit higher. So
the one thing that's building is wild right now. We're seeing some new stuff we haven't seen in a while. Particularly, I've noticed this kind of pops up every now and then. I hear about builders developing what they're calling duets. Most people would call them duplexes.
right.
That those just kind of being reborn, and you're going, what's going on? It's a kind of a new thing. So tell me a little bit. What do you think about duplexes?
Sure. I think the concept is a very viable concept. I think you have a buyer that's in the market right now. A lot of millennials. I'm an older millennial. I'm 36 years old. Who are in the market, who they might have multi-generational family needs, where they may be taking care of a parent, or they need a parent close by. And what is happening is you're having groups like Chesmar Homes who are doing their vistas, where they're putting the product together, and it's not the traditional. What I think of the duplex is there's a common yard in the middle and house here and house there. What they're doing is they're putting the common wall together, and then the space is out. And so they're doing something a little different. And so what's happening is the cost of construction is changing, but the demographics are also changing. Of you need to have families close together or closer together in proximity for childcare, and so those ideas are coming back. I think that there may have been a time with the latchkey kids in Generation X where mom and dad may have moved apart and that wasn't the issue. But now with like my generation, we've got family members in northern Michigan that we would love to come down and live close to us, and a duplex or a master plan community that had that, or we could live together close by, is very, very attractive. I think what's happening is the magnoliafication of real estate is happening, where you might be able to put out dollar for $105 a square foot, and now they go see Chip and Joanna, and they go put the finish on there that's beautiful, but it doesn't cost $1.05. It costs $1.25 a square foot, and that's where you have to go and reinvent duplexes, call it something a little different, up the quality on the interior. And I think you'll start seeing people respond to that. When you and I think of duplex, you're thinking something that is a 1973 vintage that's maybe has brick on it, is not very attractive architecturally, but it fits a need. Well, if we go jazz it up a little bit, we can still fill that need, but the buyer's more discriminating, and so they need to have a different skin on it, so to speak.
It's another new thing I've seen pop up recently, jumping like crazy. The build to rent program, where you're single family. I think
Right.
LGI Homes built a lot of these, and they they build them. They're rentals. They're single family, but they're intended to be rentals out of the gate, and the big investor buys those from the builder, and then they're up for rent. So, what do you think about this wrinkle?
Ralph, are you ready to make some news?
Yeah.
I am very, very, very much opposed to build to rent. It is subversive to the American dream. And my biggest fear is when you're making homes to be rent homes, we are not promoting home ownership. We're promoting deconstructed apartments, and there is a place in the industry for that. But the reality of the situation is that the motto of my company is creating the canvas for the American dream. And if we have people who are committed to building quality homes that people can rent, because there are single moms, there are people that are in different life situations where a rental makes sense for where they are. But the idea that I can go out there and say, what, this is all about your payment and nothing else. This isn't about home ownership or the American dream. I can't get there. I wake up in the morning figuring out how we can put mom and dad in a better situation by having them in a home close to a good school and close to their jobs. Um, Build to rent can do that, but I think you have to get the right actors doing it for the right reasons with the right materials. And I want to see them have an opportunity as a renter to buy that home. I don't want, I just, this isn't about the dollars and cents at some point. At some point, it's about families and doing the right thing for the country. And when we do build to rent just to harvest dollars, that's not what we're here for. If somebody wants to go rent a house, go rent a resale house, somebody had to go build and maintain it. If we're just going to build a house to deteriorate, we have to be better on that.
Yeah, you do wonder about what happens, 7, 10, 12 years from now, when those first and second renters move on. And, will the upkeep be there? Will this be, what's the guarantee that these communities are going to stay great?
Well, let me give you an example. As a city official, you made the comment about multifamily and being more accessible to Pearland. Well, what happens if we go and do development and we go do single family homes and all they're done is built to rent? And then we say, we don't want that because it's not kept up well, or maybe there's issues with how it maintains and we don't like how it looks and feels. And now we're starting to be discriminating on housing, on single family detached housing, because it's rental housing and not. Well, what's to stop the NIMBY attitude from inhabiting that part of housing? So I think it can be done, and with the right actors doing it for the right reasons, I think it can be done well. But there's some groups who are less scrupulous, who don't, this is only about dollars and cents, who will cut corners on maintenance, and that becomes a gigantic problem. And we just have to be aware of that.
Of course, and what aided some of this was COVID and people. I don't want to act into a really compact, overly crowded community where you're getting in the elevator with people that that seems to be subsiding a lot. But at that time, I think who wants to be in a high-rise development where you get on the elevator with strangers every day, just go get the paper, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, the common amenities with your 300 best friends all of a sudden didn't sound like such a great idea. I have had my own things. They always talk about the millennials. Well, we just don't want to own things. Well, no, a lot of us had a lot of high student debt. Some of us credit card debt. Some of us had homes that we couldn't do the down payments because the affordability gap has just gone so far the other way. It wasn't that we didn't want homes. It's that we couldn't afford them because they're way out of touch. And my big fear, Ralph, is with the COVID is that we're with the supply and cost going up, the cost curve has bent away from the consumer, bent away from mom and dad. We have houses now that maybe they were $315,000 houses a year ago, and now they're $415,000.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to. That's our last question here. We're talking about the housing is crazy. I think there was a came out. I believe it was by Redfin, the residential brokerage, saying that in Houston in March, 35% of homes for sale were newly built homes. The inventory of used homes is just incredibly tight. One month or something. There's very few, and this amazing amount of half of all properties are going are being sold for more than the asking price. It's
Oh yeah.
really, demand is unbelievable, is crazy. And of course, on the new construction side, labor's up, lumber is up, the lumber price is up dramatically, and it's raising prices so fast that some builders are repricing the homes midstream.
Well,
And
Ralph, I know my building partners, they literally aren't selling a dirt lot anymore, a dirt home. They only want to build a spec home because they need to know what is that cost right now. Because right now they don't know if they go sell a dirt lot, that lumber is not going to keep skyrocketing on that, or materials or labor. And so they want to get the cost, the final cost, and make margin on top of that number. I had another folks that I talked to, they were literally on their way to the closing. They had come, they had come to the agreement. They were going to go sign their contract to say, here's the thing. And this was a big public builder, not to be named, who literally raised the price $30,000 as they were driving to go sign the contract.
that's unbelievable. But what did the people do? How did they
Oh,
do that?
they had a discussion and they decided to pony up and take the increase, even though literally the day before they had come to an agreement with the number. We're driving over there, and they called their broker saying the price had gone up. And so that just tells you where the market is. The market is very, very undersupplied. That's why this project and what we're doing in Waller is so important, to bring some more supply out there to help the moms and dads and to help the American dream thrive. Because right now, it's all great that we can raise the price, but what happens if we can't appraise it? What happens? That just means more money out of the pockets. And I didn't get a third, fourth, or fifth, or sixth stimulus check. I mean, I didn't get any stimulus check actually. But the reality situation is where are we going to get the money to go and get this price appreciation? Somebody at some point has to pay the down payment.
When does the rates are still low, mortgage rates are low in the 3% area, and they indicate that that's probably going to keep on going for a while. You don't see demand going away either. Where do we go from here? What happens?
Well, there's a couple of things. So the 30-year mortgage is tied to the 10-year Treasury, and it's usually about 1.5, 150 bips, 175 bips. That's basis points. And so the 10-year Treasury is fluctuating on the yield between 50 and 60 points. And so from the way the economics are supposed to work, we should be in the 2.4s, 2.5s, 2.6. What you're seeing when we're elevated above those numbers is that literally the servicers, the people that are trying to process these loans, they literally are having to increase the rate because they can't process at 2.4, 2.5 all the people flooding into the market. What I would tell you is I don't think the Biden administration, are going to touch anything until at least the midterms. That's November of 22. So we might have another year and a half of this very inflated market. What I have concern on is, do we have enough lumber to fill that backlog? Do we have enough supplies we can't even do ketchup packets right now. Apparently we have a ketchup packet shortage. So can we do these massive building materials? I don't think mom and dad are changing their mind on going out to suburbia or going out to some of these great master plan communities out there in the areas that we have. What I do have concern on is, does their pocketbook able to keep up? The reality of the situation is that the builders right now have more money than they know what to do with. But the reality is the suppliers are also saying, we want some of that too. And ultimately, mom and dad have to pay for that. And so I do believe that we are undersupplied in the greater Houston area. I think in Dallas and Austin, they're more or less able to keep the supply of lots coming. In Houston, at post Harvey, that is going to become harder to do. I think areas inside the loop in 610, inside Beltway 8, it's going to be harder to develop. And so where are they going to go? They're going to go out to Waller County. They're going to go out to Montgomery County, Conroe. They're going to go out to Fort Bend County, south of Rosenberg and west of Rosenberg. And all of a sudden, those are going to become very easy areas to go look at, because those are the places where we can actually build homes.
We shall see. And we shall see what happens with this build to rent thing.
That's right.
There's going to be some big explosion in the marketplace. I could just see that when that unravels, there could be ramifications everywhere. But right now, the trend is really strong. Alex Kamkar, Bold Fox Development. Thank you very
Yes, sir.
much for sharing with us today, and we will hopefully you can come back again. We'll see how it goes from